Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Let's don't pour all of it. Just a little bit. I don't want the whole thing to go in there. I gotta make this last till. Do I have three left or two left? Till seven at least. Fruity. Welcome back to Dis-Cember. We're talking about Zenon the sequel. The sequel. Tell you what. I don't know if it's because I did it first, but Zequel is more creative than Squeakquel, I'll tell you that much. But anyway. So, yes, the sequel, which came out about 2 years later. But the continuity of this movie is confusing to me. We'll get to it. Yeah, so I like all three of these movies, but this is the one where I go back and it's like, there's so much of this that is not needed. But they felt like they had to get as many characters as they could from the first one back because there's just so much that happens in this movie to where it's like, well, we got this character back and this character back, and we got to bring this character back, and it's like, the point that by the end of the movie, everyone is on this space shuttle ship, and what does it amount to? Nothing really, because it wasn't really about any of the characters we brought back. So, let me get to it. So we get a opening credit roll on a was supposed to be like a Z-pad thingy. Chapter 2. They don't do this in the next one, so I don't know. Because I think it took so long. Because it's 2001. We don't get the next one in 2004. It took 3 years. Anyway. So. So apparently it's been 1 year since the events of the first film. But the movie contradicts itself. Because it said it's been 1 year. But then it also says in the next sentence that Zenon is now 15. Well, she was 13 in the last one. So she's 15. That means it's been 2 years, not one. And if you look at Kirsten Storms, she has aged considerably. She looks way older than she did in the first one. Because it's been 2 years, not one. But she was 13. Now she's 15. It doesn't add. Math is not math in here. You know? And now, but a lot of the stuff that they go with in the story-wise is like why the aliens contact them and what kind of message was sent out and all that was like, okay, so a year makes sense. Like there are some, what Wyndham did in the last one. There are, there's backlash to that. There's some, I can't think of the word right now. The repercussions, I guess, is the word I can use. I don't remember the other one, but yeah. And so it says that because of her, what she did in the first movie, Zenon has the full run of the ship. And as soon as you hear that, you go, but for how long? Because that feels like, there's something. I don't understand why they put that in here. Because they put it in there, and not even 10 minutes into the damn movie, that's taken away. Because she shows Nebula, now played by Shadia Simmons, because Raven said no. Apparently, I don't know why she didn't come back. She didn't have her show yet, so I don't know why. Because Raven didn't start till 2003. So I don't know why Raven's not in this. She does not. Shadia Simmons takes the place of her place as Nebula. And she's fine. She's fine. But, so she shows her this game that she found, and she found a game in this class 4 restricted area. She thinks it's a game. It looks like Pong, and she's fascinated by Pong. And before anyone asks why she'd be fascinated by Pong, she grew up on a space station. You probably don't know what Pong is, but that's what it looks like. Turns out it's actually open to windows in Commander Plank's office, and all his stuff goes out the windows. And they're in space. So it's, why are there windows in space? Maybe when I look out in space, but I don't know. Why? Okay, let me change that question. Why do windows open in space? Why would you even have that mechanism where you would open the windows in space? There is no circumstance. There is no reason why you would open windows in space. How can you open the windows? Why would you open the windows? It doesn't make any sense. I guess the airlocks, but it's not an airlock. It's a window. One of them is an airlock. But anyway, so she gets in trouble, and her full pass to the whole ship is revoked. Which, I thought about this, because then they introduced General Hammond, who's coming in to inspect things. The military is now in control of everything after what happened with Wyndham, which also puts the respect of it's been 1 year. But she was 13 in the first one, so she's 15 now. It doesn't make any sense. They forgot what age she was in the first one. And Hammond shows up, and he's overseeing some discharges of the pieces of the space station. Though they don't reveal why till later in the film to make this guy feel like a villain for not saying anything about it. But it just makes you question. Then he has a big speech. Well, I'm not some mustache-twirling villain. Then why didn't you say this was the circumstance when you first walked on the ship? But no, you're like, I'm just here to oversee the ship. That's all. Nothing bad at all. And he brings with him his daughter, who is Margie from the first one. Also, Greg broke up with her off screen. Well, technically it's on screen, but we don't see him. She's like, oh, okay. I guess I'll see you in another life. Yeah, because they couldn't get him to come back. So, and she sort of has a love interest in this. It comes out of nowhere at the end. They're trying something. Here's the thing. It's like James Bond because she has a different love interest in each movie. And really, I only ever really liked the guy in the last movie that she's with. Greg is fine. He's not really anything, though. Because it's like... Because she's like, oh, I bet this is Margie's fault. And then Margie shows up, and he's like, did I tell you Greg said hi? And she's like... So now she's blackmailing Zenon. Like, hey... I could tell Daddy to jettison your people, your family, unless you do what I want you to do. So she's cutting her food, and she gets... So here's the thing. She gets back at her by painting her toenails with glue. But then it's the whole thing where she puts a sock... She has a sock on, she goes to take it off, and it sticks. But... And I'm not a woman, but I've lived with women. They do not... put socks or anything on their feet till it's completely dry. And by the time her toes would be completely dry, the glue would not be sticky anymore. There's no way she would just put her sock on right after she got her toenails painted. Sorry, I lived with women my entire life. I don't understand how that works. They wait till it's dry ridiculously. They don't even want to touch anything while their fingernails are drying. I can't touch it. I can't touch it. I can't hold it. No, can't. Drying. 38 years living with women. I'm just saying. I was raised by women. Meanwhile, we hear over the news, through some exposition, that Protozoa has disappeared after performing in space, which also, brings more authenticity, to the 1 year thing. A lot of things are pointing to 1 year, but the age thing, she was 13 in the first one, she's 15 now. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. No, trying to make it. No. And we see he's at some place in the middle of nowhere. Nova Linda, apparently, is what he calls it. And he's figured that because he's gone to space, there's nothing else for him to do, and he's all messed up. He can't write. He's stuck because he doesn't know what else to do now. There's nothing else to do. He went to space. There's nothing bigger to do. So to keep her out of trouble, they've assigned Zenon to work in this sub-level of the space station with this guy named Orion, because someone thought they were clever. Orion? Space? Ha! I'm surprised it wasn't an Orion's belt joke. Orion's trying to... Can you help me find Orion's belt out there? No. He can't find his belt. Oh. No, that's not in here. But she starts to... So, it's one of those things where they've had this thing existing for a while, and it just so happens when she gets there, that's when it becomes useful. Where it's like, oh, we monitor for extraterrestrial signals, but we never get any. And of course, as soon as she starts working there, they get an extraterrestrial signal, a zoom. She doesn't know what it is. And there's so much of this movie that's repeating stuff in the first one. She tells them that this happened. No one believes her. And I've always wondered, they don't record the messages or anything. They just go to look afterwards and they're like, I don't see anything. Nothing is recorded. They don't have files. They don't monitor it. They don't have it recorded. Why wouldn't you find something to digitally record it? Why would... What? Why? Right? Why? No. And it happens every time. She sees something, no one believes her. She hears the sum, no one believes her. So she figures out, actually, the sum she's hearing is a zoom. In fact, it's actually a zoom, zoom, zoom. So she thinks, and to be fair, the reasoning that it's a teenage girl's theory kind of makes this work. She comes up with that the aliens want to meet Protozoa. So she decides she has to go to Earth, find Protozoa, to bring him back up into space to meet the aliens. You following me? She's setting this up. By the way, I also want to point out that Nebula and her family are being jettisoned to Earth. They're not being jettisoned. They're not being shoved out the thing. No, they're being sent to Earth because the lab that they were working on is being jettisoned. Now, my question is, we find out later. I guess I'll go into it when we reveal what's going on. No. So she comes up with this idea to sneak down to Earth with Nebula. Unfortunately, Margie also overhears this. And this is the instance of, we need blank character to be in this position. Margie is not necessary to the plot of this movie in any way, shape, or form. And before you start pointing it out, she does not need to be involved with the plot. Because if Margie was not Hammond's daughter, he still would be looking for her. Because they could still do this. Eventually, the parents start to realize that this is recordings from Zenon's room. And they tell Hammond, who realizes she went to Earth for some reason. And have to track her down to figure out what exactly is going on, what she's doing. Don't need Margie for that. Very easy to do, but they have to force Margie into the plot of this movie for some reason. Ugh. Even though nobody else in the goddamn world can find Protozoa, she's able to find him lickety-split, don't have a fit. Like Smallville season 6, okay? She's able to find him very quickly. Like, she knows exactly where he is. By the way, they go to Earth. None of the other characters from before. There's no... They do make a reason for why one of her friends is gone when they say that the redhead girl, her part was jettisoned. But she's not even in the third one, so who knows? That they had to come up with a reason. They don't mention the other people. You know? But anyway... what was his name? Andrew? Whatever his name is. And, Greg. That's what always bugged me about this, is they go to Earth, but she doesn't try to connect Greg for help. They just off-screen break up, and then he's never mentioned again. I think he could have been a great help. Like, you know, that could have connected A and B here, where it's like, she gets there and it's like, oh, I know where he is. But it's like, maybe she goes to him and Andrew for help. And he hacks the computer and finds Protozoa. That would make sense, but we don't have time for that. So, so there's this running gag with Margie where she's entranced by Protozoa, where she's like staring at him. But then that's one scene. The next scene, she's perfectly fine talking to Zenon. The next scene where he's shaving, she's just. But how did she go from that to whatever? They do contact Aunt Judy, and Aunt Judy is staying with her, which is the first place they'll look at. But she comes up with a plan, wants to find Protozoa. They convince Protozoa to go back up into space to perform for the aliens, because that's cool. Keep in mind, only he goes, not his band. Although he does have a band at the end of the movie, which has questions. And Martin, when they realize they have to contact Hammond for help, she contacts him, and through some weird coincidence, some weird stroke of luck, Margie ends up accidentally getting a broadcast of him in a meeting with people. They can't hear them. Like Hammond can't hear any of what they're saying, but they can hear him just fine. And he talks about why he has to jettison this stuff in the space station, because when Wyndham did his thing, it caused the space station to go out of orbit. Out of orbit of what? There's literally nothing else around this space station. Earth? Is that it? Because you never see Earth from the station. Maybe you do. But whenever you see the space station, it's just the station floating in space. You don't see any planets or anything behind it. So it's weird. Out of orbit from the Earth, I'm guessing. So they gotta jettison certain parts of it to put it back into, hopefully. Or eventually it's just gonna have to shut it down, I guess. So now that they hear this, they really gotta find the aliens. So Aunt Judy talks Plank into getting a shuttle. And so again, there's so much convoluted shit in this. So Plank convinces Hammond to lend him a shuttle so he can go see Aunt Judy. The very next scene has him talking to Orion, and they get caught in a lie. Plank is held up, but Orion's able to move freely. So Orion is able to convince Zenon's mom, who, by the way, they recast the parents in this. I don't even remember the parents in the third one. They recast the parents in this with Robert Curtis Brown and some lady who has trouble controlling her New Zealand accent because she's going in and out. She's going in and out and in and out and in and out of this accent so much. And they are currently imprisoned in there because Margie left a message making it look like Zenon kidnapped her. Which anyone with a fucking brain would know she can't stand Margie. So why would she? I don't know. So anyway, they set up this shuttle. And it turns out that the mom has to fly. And much like Aunt Judy was afraid to go into space, the mom is afraid to go to Earth. There's really no reason to that, but it doesn't make any sense because she literally lives in a dangerous place like space. That's more dangerous than Earth. Supposedly. Because, like, the windows open, you can't breathe. Apparently you have windows that can open in space. So they get the shuttle, everybody on board, and I mean everybody. Aunt Judy, Zenon, Margie, Protozoa, and even Nebula for some reason, where it makes no sense why she's even there. Because you got Hammond's people trying to track him down, and she's there. I don't know why she's there. And they go into space to meet the aliens. And Orion is also there. And they go into space to meet the aliens, but they're running out of fuel, and Orion didn't fill the extra fuel tanks either, so they're going to be stuck in space. Then the aliens show up, and it's kind of weird because it's like, the aliens, how will they get in? Will they go let them to the door, or they walk through the door. They're not ghosts, and immediately they walk through the door. And it's like, they're like weird light things, because I guess they couldn't make costumes for the aliens, so they're weird light things. And Zenon's somehow able to understand what they're saying. Apparently, they've been stuck in space for 3 Earth years because they ran out of fuel, so they need to find a place to refuel, and they want to use some fuel from the space station. And they didn't just want to take the fuel because taking something without asking is wrong or something. So she says, yeah, you can do that as long as we get to, you know, and they'll give them a ride back once they do. So they do, they get, or, no, it's not fuel, because they're able to just, no, they're stuck because they don't know their way home. They need a navigation map is what they need, I think. Don't correct me, I think I figured it out. So, yeah. So they get back to the space station, and they're immediately in trouble. But, like, they try to explain, and they have to, he goes from, he says, I'm not some mustache-twirling villain, I'm just doing what I was ordered to do. So he's not a villain, but he was acting like one the entire movie. And he doesn't believe there was aliens until he sees them. And the aliens put back the jettisoned pieces of the space station and put them back into orbit. There's that problem solved. And everything is hunky-dory, and now we're celebrating. You know? So Prozo tells us the whole story here about how he went to space to meet the aliens, and they didn't really care about him. But now he's performing weddings because this is Commander Plank and Aunt Judy's wedding now, and his hair is now different because I presume this was a reshoot or something. I don't know, but his hair is different. He has the regular spikes throughout this entire movie, and I hear it's normal. And this was confusing because they played the clip of this song constantly on Disney Channel back in the day when it was coming out. So when the movie started and he had his regular hair from the first one, I went, wait, his hair was different before. And then they showed him, like, they don't even explain why he has different hair. He just is. He just does. So we get another song. She had the zoom, zoom, zoom from the first one, so we get a song in this one. Wake me up, shake me up, race me to the stars. So much to know, so far to go. Galaxy is ours. The galaxy is ours, my girl. The galaxy is ours. But I like the version, they remixed it for the third one. Because the third one is like a definitive soundtrack. Sort of. It has all the songs from that movie. Plus, The Galaxy is Ours, which is also in there. And then the remix of Supernova Girl. Zoom, zoom, zoom. They have all that on that soundtrack. I had the soundtrack. So, but, yeah. And, of course, he thanks Zenon, and everyone's married. I do like when Commander Plank goes to do the salute to General Hammond, and he's like, because he's got a cup of coffee in his hand or something. He's like, so he's not a bad guy. And Margie is staying. Yay! I don't know. I guess they're all friends now. She gets less annoying throughout the movie. She does stand up to her dad. I'll put that out. She puts her foot down and stands up to her dad. Like, no, Daddy. So that's her story. She's sticking to it, I guess. But, yeah. I'll give it a high middle of the road. It's fine. It's just, if you think about what I said at the beginning of this, the whole plot is that they're aliens, they're sending a message. And, again, the logic that it's a teenage girl coming to this conclusion can make sense that she's wrong. But, like, the only reason, like, they get everybody on this ship, on this shuttle, for this alien plot. They just so they can work in Protozoa back into the plot somehow. That's it, because they wanted him to be in this movie. Otherwise, the zoom, zoom, zoom. By the way, I didn't explain that. If they didn't care about Protozoa, then why was the zoom, zoom, zoom? Because they heard the broadcast of Microbe's concert from space, and they thought it was a way of contacting them. They didn't care about Microbe. They just wanted help. So it really had nothing to do with it other than a way to get him back into the movie. And this is the last time this actor would play the role because they recast him for the third one. we'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, what are your thoughts on Zenon the sequel? Then we'll comment so much. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.